going everyone? AFC Finners. We are in Doncaster in Yorkshire today. My first ever time in this city. I've decided to do a long weekend in York on holiday. Tomaldo is not with us, but I must still thank him because he researched the fixtures for this weekend for me and points out Doncaster playing. So got the 20-minute train and we're up here. So the station behind me, nice water fountain, about half an hour walk to the stadium. But yeah, it'd be good to check out this city that I don't know too much about. But I've had a fun time in York so far. Yesterday went up to Dales, doing the Viking Museum tomorrow. They are playing Sutton today, who Tom, funnily enough, will be going to their grounds next week. So I'll do a scouting report for him. Let's walk to the Keepmoat. Well, one of the most aptly named roads I've ever seen. There it is, Donny. Little Olympic stadium next to it. And there it is, Doncaster Rovers. I'm here over 2 hours before kick-off. Let's wander around the club shop and the rest. That is James Coppinger's stand, where I'll be sitting. What a player he was. Something interesting as well about Doncaster, their manager is Grant McCann, who was one of the first ever players I saw play. He played for Charlton Town. I remember him scoring a penalty in a 3-2 victory against Millwall in 2006. He went on to become Charlton's record sale. So good to see a side managed by him again. It's a shame with Doncaster because I remember when they went to the Championship, they had a really good season. People wondered if they could push to the playoffs. And it's just sad to see they've fallen down and struggling at the start of this season. But hopefully we can start to turn it around, push onwards. You never know. Could be a good day for them today. There you go. Got a nice welcome for the away team. Long journey for them from Surrey, just like the long journey it was from me in Gloucestershire. There is not much around the outside of the stadium. Maybe it's just because I'm here very early. Bit disappointing in the club shop. To us, it's not. I want to emphasise it's not the fault of the staff who I just spoke to. They're only the sellers, but basically all they had was circular pin badges. Well, were the club pressed ones, but only came in a pack of 4, and they said the manufacturers hadn't got them ready yet. I mean, we're quite deep into the season now. A lot of the non-league clubs have them ready. I don't really see what their excuse can be, but I'm sure I'll find one somewhere. Yep. Here comes Sutton. It's been knackered after that journey. So we've got Doncaster fan here. Why don't you start by introducing yourself?
So my name's Aaron, aka Chal. People call me Chal, and basically I'm a theme park journalist. I do Rovers videos as well, and I'm a Rovers fan. Been a Rovers fan since 2004, 2005. And obviously here to watch Doncaster versus Sutton and to take some notes while I do my coaching badges.
Brilliant. So I've seen a few Doncaster players coming in, and you were chatting to quite a few of them. So it's clear that you're a very dedicated fan of this club. What does Doncaster mean to you?
Doncaster means pride, passion, love, and community. I think that's the main thing here, community. And I think sometimes in the money roots of the game at the high end level, sometimes that might get lost, the idea of community. Doncaster as a city now, obviously it used to be a town, but as a city, we know each other, we love each other, we support each other no matter what we're doing. Yes, we might fall out on a couple of occasions, but we always remain as a community and always remain friends and always stay in touch. So Doncaster to me just means everything to do with community, and I think that's the main aspect of the club's ethos and DNA as well.
Okay. Well, in your time supporting Doncaster, what would you say your favourite memory is?
Beating Leeds United at Wembley in the League One playoff final. I think the stakes were set for a very good game when Sean O'Driscoll was the manager coming up from Bournemouth and sort of took us to this stage. We just lost out on automatic promotion away at Cheltenham on the final day.
Yay!
Leeds United had a 15-point deficit to overcome at the start of the season. It clicked. They replaced Dennis Wise with Gary McAllister in January. They just missed out in the final through a James Hayter goal at the second half. And it was just an amazing day for Rovers fans everywhere. Whether you were at Wembley watching it or whether you were watching it at home, it was a fantastic memory. There was obviously other fantastic memories as well. The last minute Coppinger goal set up by Billy Painter at Griffin Park, when we just pipped Brentford to automatic promotion and pipped Bournemouth to the title. That was always a good memory. Getting promoted straight back to League One from League Two under Darren Ferguson, with the game against Mansfield at our ground when we got promoted, and we got the result against Mansfield. So, you know, there's loads of great memories, even the early memories, you know, seeing the lights go off at Bellevue for the last time after a 1-0 win against Nottingham Forest thanks to a Theo Street goal. The songs that were ringing out in that stadium, just standing or sitting there, whether you were watching from a hillside or standing or sitting in the stands, it was an iconic memory. It's something as a young kid that always stuck with me.
Excellent answer. Well, you're welcome for the defeat that got you into the playoffs. And finally, sadly, it's not been the best start to the season for you guys, but are you optimistic? What are your hopes for the season?
Yeah, I'm not worried at all. I'm not worried about this season. I think whatever happens this season will happen because Grant McCann is an experienced manager, he's an astute manager at this level. And across the Football League, he knows exactly what he's doing. You saw by some of the performances at things like Hull City in the Cup, you see by other performances as well. And it's not necessarily the fact that we're putting in bad performances, we're putting in good performances. It's just individual defensive mistakes that seem to cost us every now and then. So what we need to do, and you know, the injury situation doesn't help. We've got 14 players out for today as well, which doesn't help at all. But we can't help with that. At the end of the day, I'm going to see what happens this season. We take it into next season and build from there because it is a process and it is a plan. And try to understand from a coach's point of view, you've got 14 injuries to deal with. You've got players that, you know, aren't in your plans that you're having to sort of keep an eye on as well. And you're having to keep an eye on the little injuries as well and the little niggles and the kind of sort of 50% and the 60% to keep an eye on as well. So Grant's got a lot on his plate and Cliff Byrne's got a lot on his plate as well as the recruitment team and the whole club as a whole. So we're trying our best to get out of this rot, and we are going to keep climbing up the leagues because pretty much every team that's come away from us has said, you know, we won't be in that position come the end of the season. So we'll be in a better position. Anywhere around 10th or 12th, I think is progress from last season. I think it's something we can build on going into next season. Anywhere above 18th is progress anyway, because it's a better finish than last season. And I think it's just part of that building process because we've signed 12-13 players this summer and it's going to take time for those 12-13 players to bed in. So it's going to take time, but I've got full confidence in the manager and everyone here at Doncaster Rovers.
Excellent. Well, good to see you being optimistic. Thank you for your time. Best of luck for today.
Thank you very much. Ta-ra for now.
Well, thank you, Aaron. What an interview that was. One of the best I've done in my vlogs. It's 1:30, turnstiles are about to open, so we're about to go inside. But before we do, let's find out a bit about today's hosts, Doncaster Rovers. Doncaster Rovers were founded in 1879. They were a founding member of the Midlands Alliance League, and they won their first honour by beating Sheffield United in the final of the Sheffield and Hallamshire Challenge Cup. They won the Midland League in 1897 and 1899. They spent a couple of years in the Football League, at one point finishing 7th in the 2nd Division, but were kicked out in 1902. They would spend much of the next few years going between the Midland League and Football League, and they went out of business in 1914. And shortly after new Doncaster Rovers took their place, World War I broke out. In the 1920s, they moved to Bellevue and joined the 3rd Division North of the Football League in 1923. They won this league in 1935. They were relegated though in 1937. In 1947, they won the league with a record 33 wins, and after being relegated from the 3rd Division North the next season, they were promoted again and would remain in the 2nd tier for 8 years. The 1950s would end poorly for the club, as they suffered successive relegations to fall into the 4th Division. They yo-yoed between the 4th and 3rd Divisions over the next few decades, and in the 1990s, they were in big trouble. Club owner Ken Richardson was keen to build a new ground, and after being denied permission by the council, he hired 3 men to burn Bellevue to the ground and sell the land to developers to claim the insurance money. However, Richardson was caught and sentenced to 4 years in jail after one of the arsonists left their phone on the site. Doncaster nearly went out of business and dropped into the Football League due to Richardson's funding being withdrawn. They returned in 2003 via the playoffs, being the only club to win the playoff final with a golden goal. The next year, they won the 4th Division to achieve another promotion. They reached the quarter-finals of the League Cup in 2006, and on New Year's Day 2007, they moved into their new home, the Keepmoat Stadium. They celebrated in perfect style later that year by defeating Bristol Rovers at Wembley to win the Football League trophy. The next year, they were back at Wembley again, defeating Leeds in the League One playoff final. They spent 4 years in the Championship before being relegated, In 2013, they were involved in a dramatic end to the season. When playing Brentford at Griffin Park, the Bees missed a penalty that would have given them promotion if they scored, and Doncaster ran up the other end with James Commager netting to seal promotion and a title for the Yorkshire side instead. Unfortunately, they would be relegated after one season, and suffered a further relegation to League 2 in 2016. Their fortunes turned though when they were promoted in 2017. They were relegated to League 2 in 2022 and have remained there since. Grant McCann is now in charge of the club for a second time, and after a poor start to the season, they are hopeful of turning their fortunes around. Overall, they have won 3 third division titles, 4 fourth division titles, 2 Midland Football Leagues, 1 Football League trophy, and 2 Conference League Cups. And a bit of trivia, in 1946, Doncaster played part in the longest ever competitive football match. The cup tie of Stockport County was tied at 90 minutes, and the rules stated at the time the game had to be played until a winning goal was scored. The match was played for 203 minutes before being abandoned, and Doncaster win the replay 4-0. So those are our hosts, Doncaster Rovers. Let's have a look inside their home, the Keepmoat Stadium. There we go. Let's grab something to eat. Oh, there's my lunch. Some nice crispy chips and a veggie pie. I think they will be getting a good food rating. Hey Doncaster, let's try your cheese leek and potato pie. As Elboy would say, that is pucker. Nice bit of history. Look at that. Billy Bremner, Onsteg boss. Some more history. And there's another legendary figure associated with the club, Harry Gregg. There we go. Today's home. And it's all. So I'm up in the corner with a nice clear view of the stadium, amongst probably the first 1 or 200 here. If I remember Moulton Road or the generic stadium from career mode, this is pretty much it. So kick-off still a little while away. I've bought myself a programme for £3. This new order start playing, excellent choice. Yeah, let's have a read. Minutes in and it's a penalty to Doncaster. Modu foul was brought down in the box. This is going to be the first significant chance of the game. It's going to be Joe Ironside, a former Cambridge player, to take it. Chance to make it 1-0. Ironside. Into the top corner. 1-0 to Doncaster. So, as deserved, Doncaster hold on to their lead at half-time. They've had a couple of chances, but the penalty was the only hugely significant one. Doncaster made a good save, but that was Sutton's only chance. But yeah, it's not been the best game. I think Doncaster will probably see this out with a 1-0 win. I don't expect to see much more out of this game. It's been tight, just neither side doing anything hugely productive, and it kind of says a lot. There had to be something from the spot that would break the deadlock. But yeah, half-time 1-0, I expect it to remain that way. If anyone's going to make a difference, it's Luke Molyneux on the right-hand side for Doncaster. He's been superb, constantly a threat and gets people standing on their feet. Maybe if there's going to be another goal, he can produce something. But as it stands, it's 1-0 half-time. I expect that to be a score at full-time. 1-0 Doncaster. Embracing the local culture. Good stuff. Good stuff. minutes into the second half, and Doncaster and July inside have got a second. Cross came in, gently touched it with his head, and it slowly trickled into the bottom corner to double Doncaster lead. Just beyond the hour mark, and Doncaster get the third. A shot hit from the edge of the box, hit the post, came out, saying Westbrook has curled it in. The result is now beyond any doubt, 3-0. Over 20 minutes ago, and Doncaster had the fourth. A shot was hit, it bounced off the keeper, and Modou Fowl, who won the penalty in the first half, was pounced to make it 4. The shackles are off, and there could be more. Perhaps the most irrelevant goal I will ever see. In the dying seconds, Sutton deny Doncaster the clean sheet, headed in from a cross, 4-1. It doesn't really make any difference. We've just seen 5 goals today. So Sutton's goal was virtually the last kick of the game. A fair play to Doncaster. They could have just sat on the 1-0 lead and seen out the win, but they decided to kill the game, and they did it in style, netting 4. It's a much needed win that will hopefully turn their season around. Clinical and dominant performance from Doncaster, full time. Doncaster 4, Sutton 1. So that was Keepmoat Stadium, home of Doncaster. We got some nice natural scenery behind me to wrap things up. So really enjoyed that afternoon. It wasn't the best first half, but the game came to life in the second, which was not what I expected, so a pleasant surprise. But no, fair play to Doncaster. They came together, they've got behind the manager despite the poor start of season, and hopefully this, like I said, can be a turning point. Sutton were very, very, very poor, but fair play to all the fans that came all this way to see them. Wish them best of luck when Tom sees them next week. But yeah, ground I've always wanted to go to, and it's a nice, it's a very good choice of ground to do for my holiday, so thank you once again, Tom. I'm going to enjoy myself and go and watch Ireland against New Zealand in the rugby in a pub this evening. But first, let's rate the experience. So we will start off with the welcome, and well, Aaron certainly added a couple of points. He was an incredibly chatty person and gave me so much insight into Doncaster Rovers. Every member of staff I spoke to was absolutely fine. I wasn't able to engage much with the local fans, but nobody made me feel like an outsider or hostile at all or anything. Didn't feel like it was a club I could engage as much with the supporters, just by generally reading the room. But at the same time, there's nobody that made me feel incredibly uncomfortable or unwelcome or something. So I think it did the job it needed to in regards to that. One of the problems I did have is I felt there wasn't anything outside the stadium that added to a matchday experience. A lot of clubs I've been to, such as Reading or Preston North End, they've got big fan zones where there's lots of things going on, like club bars, screenings of matches, activities. There was nothing there for that, not even a food stall. And I felt the club themselves had done a little bit of that. I think there could just been one thing, but there was literally nothing in terms of stalls or anything like that. And I think, if you want to generate a really positive match experience, I think you need more engagement, because everything for the matchday experience was inside the stadium. And inside the stadium was great, don't get me wrong. But I just think they needed one or two things, even if it was just like a van selling coffee or something, just give it some identity out of the ground. Because I don't want to ever go to a game and just go to stadium, watch 90 minutes and leave. I want there to be more than that. So yeah, I think they do need a bit of work in terms of like creating a welcome for fans and creating an engaging experience that goes beyond just the game. It wasn't a terrible welcome. I just think there's a lot of areas where they really do need to improve if they want to get a high score for this from other people. So I'll probably give the welcome a 6 out of 10. Aaron, you were absolutely lovely. Thank you for the engagement you gave me. I just think the club needs to do a bit of work on the welcome for the matchday experience. Food and drink, they did excellently with this. There was such a wide array of options. I felt almost spoiled for choice. There wasn't just a kind of, oh, there's the veggie option, that'll do. There were multiple vegetarian options that you could have. I had the cheese and leek pie, but there was also veggie mince pie. And, that on top of chips meant that as a vegetarian, you had options available and it made things a lot easier. So a lot of clubs I've criticised for their vegetarian options. Fair play, Doncaster, you thought this through. And it wasn't just the options available. What I had was really nice. I absolutely love having Yorkshire tea. So they've obviously gone away to make sure they keep up that local identity, keep the local businesses like Yorkshire tea and Yorkie. If you're going to a club in Yorkshire, you want to have something synonymous with Yorkshire, and they've definitely made sure that's the case. That pie was delicious, and the chips crispy, oily in a good way, and that pie just hit the spot. So food and drink, fair play. I have to take my hat off to them. They did absolutely brilliantly with this. Excellent array of options, and not just the array of options, what you had was delicious. So I will give the food and drink a 9 out of 10. Atmosphere, it's a conflicting one because, there were chants going on throughout the game, but it's kind of tricky for them because a lot of the stadium is empty, so it can be difficult to generate a good atmosphere. But I think there were points where it felt a little bit flat. I do understand they obviously don't have the same kind of fan base that Yorkshire teams such as Leeds and the 2 Sheffield clubs have. I just feel the atmosphere did kind of fall a bit flat at points. I think similar to Newport, it was an issue where the away supporters were very quiet, so there wasn't much to and forth, which can help generate the atmosphere. I really love seeing kids get involved with the atmosphere. I will give them credit for getting behind the manager as much as they did, because I think it's very easy when you've started the season poorly to use the manager as a scapegoat, but Doncaster were chanting Grant McCann's name throughout, and I really respect that. They've obviously made sure to come together and get behind him to push the team forward. Hopefully the win today will get more people behind his side. So there were both positives and negatives to the atmosphere, but I'll probably give it a 6 out of 10. Stadium, this is an interesting one because I do think they've chosen an ideal style of stadium, but I do think their style is the type that I would call the cookie cutter stadium, because I've seen their ground before. Reading, Swansea, Derby, Cardiff, it's a very similar type of ground. Now, to be honest, that style of stadium does work, and Doncaster have hosted concerts, so it does really help them with income. So I'm not necessarily saying it's like a bad idea. There's just sometimes a stadium like that can feel a bit soulless if it's just the same as everything else. But I do think they have gone to a lot of effort to try and give it an identity. Like you saw at the beginning, there was the interior, which had history of the club plastered on the walls, which was very similar to Anfield when I went on the tour there. And around the main bit of the stadium, there were pictures of club legends at the top of the stands, like several of them. So I think, fair play, even if it's a generic design of stadium, they are trying to get their own identity, and I have to give them a lot of respect for that. But at the end of the day, the stadium does do what it needs to. You pretty much can't see the outside world. It's the same all the way through. Every seat you get will get a good view. So even if it's generic, it does do exactly the job it's needed to, and it's very difficult to complain about that. I just think, like I was saying with the welcome, they need a lot more going on outside it before the game starts to really add to the stadium. But they've got a really good ground, and they can do things with it, such as host concerts and stuff. So it's not in ruin. It does the job it needs to. I'll give the stadium a 7 out of 10. And finally, value for money. I think they did quite well with this one because the ticket was £21, £1 above what I think is a fair amount for a big stadium. But £20, I think, in the grand scheme of things, is not bad. The food and drink, probably slightly overpriced, but this seems to be a common theme. It wasn't something I'd lose sleep over. About £7, or whatever it was, for the pie and chips. On paper, might not seem great, but for a Football League club, I think that's pretty good. And my bank account hasn't taken the significant rating, I was happy to pay that and then get some more food and drink at half time. And I think if I felt it was extortionate, I wouldn't have done that. So pretty much everywhere I looked was about 20 quid. So I do think that's quite fair. Everyone can get the same kind of opportunities where they want to sit for the game and get a good result out of it. There's no tickets like, you've heard places like QPR where you have a ticket and you can't even see the game, but they have an equal and fair experience that they'll be like Bournemouth. So not ripping you off. And again, I think the food and drink variety is really good, so I'm happy to pay for that. I think I get good value for my money. So I'll probably give the value for money an 8 out of 10. So that was Doncaster Rovers, a lovely little spot of my holiday. Thank you once again to Tom Aldo for suggesting it to me. So as I'm recording this, I have just watched Ireland crash out of the Rugby World Cup. I'm devastated. Tomorrow I will be watching 2 more rugby games, including England, where I'll probably lose. We'll know the result by the time I've recorded this video. I'm going to the Viking Museum and probably a couple more things. But I will leave you now as I carry on with my holiday. By the time I've done this video, I will be back amongst the swings of normal life. But thank you all for watching. Let me know what you thought of this video. Have you been to Doncaster before? What did you think? Tell me in the comments. And please tell me where you would like me to go next. Would you like me to go back to Yorkshire? Where would you recommend in God's own country? Thank you all for watching. I've been AFC Finners. See you next time and stick with us as we go round to ground. AFC Finners out.